This is Charles Buckley, Senior Academic Developer at Liverpool University.
I'm Gita Sedghi. I'm a senior lecturer in the Department of Chemistry at the University of Liverpool.
Yeah, I'm Tünde Varga-Atkins, a senior educational developer at the University of Liverpool.
I'm Luke Simpson. I'm an Academy Administrator at the University of Liverpool.
This is Claire Hooper. I'm Head of Journals at Liverpool University Press, and you are listening to the Academy's Developing Practice podcast.
Charles, Gita, Tünde, Luke and Claire, we're really pleased to be speaking to you today about the new Developing Academic Practice Journal. But before we get started, it would be great to hear about your backgrounds and how you've arrived at the positions you're in today. So Charles, if we start with you.
I've ended up as an academic developer, a senior academic developer at Liverpool University. I've got a few jobs within the academic development team. I run the MA in academic practice, and I work with Ellie Setnan, a colleague of mine, on the degree standards project for training for external examiners. I also coordinate the professional services ethics committee and organise things such as the PEDRES conference, which we usually have in January, with the support of my amazing colleagues in academic development and beyond. One of my most enjoyable aspects of my work, I think, has become this journal. So I was asked by James Howard to take on the role of running Developing Academic Practice, the new Liverpool Journal, which we launched at the PEDRES conference in January this year. So it's very exciting, and we're really looking forward as a team to developing the journal further.
Wonderful, thanks Charles. Gita, if we come to you next.
Hello, thanks very much for inviting us. And I'm a senior lecturer in the Department of Chemistry. My educational research and scholarship is shaped by my philosophy of practice, which is inclusive teaching and learning. And examples are internationalization and peer-assisted learning. Why I'm here as associate editor of this journal, because I've always been committed to sharing practice and supporting colleagues. Examples of these roles are I mentor colleagues for HEA fellowships within and outside the University of Liverpool. I'm the external reviewer of the HEA fellowship scheme at De Montfort University. Also the editor and co-lead of the Journal of Learning Development in Higher Education. And now the associate editor in this journal to support my colleagues at this university. So that's how I arrived at this position I'm in today.
Wonderful, thanks Gita. And Matt and I have had a really good conversation with you previously on the podcast about your National Teaching Fellowship and your area of expertise. So listeners may want to check out that podcast. Tünde, if we come to you next.
Yeah, so Tünde Varga-Atkins, a senior education developer in the Center for Innovation in Education at University of Liverpool. And like Gita as well, I'm very passionate about pedagogic research. And I think we would be sitting here to tell you all my trajectory, but it's just, generally interested in digital education and curriculum development, curriculum enhancement and evaluation. And I'm also just love supporting people around pedagogic research.
Wonderful, thanks Tünde. Claire, if we come to you.
Hi, thank you for inviting me. I am Head of Journals at Liverpool University Press. I've been there since 2008. We have 40 journals now, primarily in humanities and social sciences. Previously, I worked for Blackwell, when it was Blackwell, before Wiley took over. In Oxford, and I was previous to that an editorial assistant on a journal in a department at Keele University. So that's me.
Wonderful, thank you. And then we'll come to Luke.
Hi, it's Luke Simpson from the Academy. It's nice to be here today. My background varies from the museum sector. I did a short stint at the museums in Liverpool, But I also spent nearly 8 years in finance administration before landing a role at the academy as an academy administrator. So I've been administrating now for around nearly 2 years now at the academy. My main areas of focus is the journal, so I provide administration support for the journal, but I also look after academic development and researcher development and their initiatives within the university.
Brilliant. Thanks, everybody. So it's great to have so many people with us on the podcast today. I don't think we've ever had so many guests, so this is a new venture for all of us. You've all mentioned the journal. Now, that's the focus of the conversation today. So I'd like to really get into the weeds with the journal. So let's just explain what this is for our listeners out there. So Charles, I'm going to come to you. So tell me about the journal, the Developing Academic Practice Journal. What is that and how did it come to be?
Great, thanks, Matt. So originally, all credit to James Howard, director of the Academy. It was his idea initially. And James, in his foreword actually, for the first issue in January 2021. So James says, it provides a platform to cascade effective practice and share lessons that we've learnt at Liverpool. So it will support early career academics to engage in scholarship in a rigorous yet supportive environment. So I think there's a number of key words there really that, as I say, embody the ethos of the journal. And we are supportive. At the same time, we want it to be a journal that people want to pick up and they want to read, to celebrate Liverpool University staff and colleagues at XJTLU. But really, it's designed, I suppose, primarily for early career academics, people that might be new to research or have an idea that they want to share with other colleagues across Liverpool University. So at the moment, the journal is for Liverpool University staff. We might develop it in future. We'll perhaps come to that a little bit later when we talk about the future direction of the journal. But for now, it's for Liverpool University staff. It's supported by, we've got a colleague here today, Claire, from Liverpool University Press. So we're really lucky to have them supporting us. I think it's the third oldest university press in the UK. And the platform that they give us is a gold open access platform. We have a continuous publication, so colleagues can submit at any time. You're not restricted to certain times. Yeah, and I think it's just, we've got a great base of reviewers now, both from Liverpool University. A lot of people have come forward to support us, and also XJTLU to provide. One thing we really try and emphasize is that we are supportive, we are inclusive, and we want to encourage people to submit their ideas. And we do give constructive and supportive, positive feedback to everybody who submits. And we'd really like to hear colleagues' ideas. We do want to develop and we do want to respond to colleagues across the University of Liverpool, regardless of their role, regardless of their position at the university. So we're always open to ideas and really want to be creative and to develop. Okay,
great. So we've got the who, so it's for colleagues at the University of Liverpool, in particular early career academics you mentioned there. So what's the why? Why should those colleagues consider publishing in the journal? What are the benefits for them?
Okay, I can answer that. I think for a start, it is a great way to gain experience in how publishing works and how disseminating your research works and the process. The journal is open access, but there are no author fees to pay. So you won't have to pay to have your paper published in the journal, but it will still be open access, which is really a way for us to disseminate your research in across a much more wide readership. There's flexibility on contribution length. You don't have to send a standard essay article type. And also there's the association, not just with the Academy, which is very well regarded, but also with LUP. As Charles mentioned, we are the third oldest university press in the UK, and we will help you to increase the chance of your work being cited, increase the impact of your work, and we will guide you through the process itself.
Brilliant. So, I mean, there's lots of benefits there: cost, support and so on. What is the readership, Claire?
At the moment, the journal is mostly read by colleagues in the University of Liverpool. And I think we expected that to start with, because we wanted it to be a place for University of Liverpool colleagues to read and share good practice. And that was our aims. But I think a little bit later on, we might talk about how we might develop that in the future.
Brilliant. That sounds, Claire, like there's quite a lot of flexibility in terms of the types of work that you're going to be publishing. In terms of those submissions, is there a specific format that we're looking for, and maybe in terms of word limits?
Yes, I can answer that one. We accept 3 types of submissions: research paper, case studies, and reflective articles. A research paper has a clear research question, and it includes a literature review, methodology, results and discussion, and possible limitations and implications of the study. The word limit for a paper is a maximum of 5,000 words, excluding references. So that was a paper. Another type of submission is a case study, which is a preliminary evaluation of academic practice. And it includes the process and outcomes of an evaluation. A case study includes a literature review, evaluation methods, and discusses the benefits of this study to other educators. And the word limit is different from the paper. It's a maximum of 2,000 words, excluding references. The third type of submission is a reflective article, which is a bit different. It provides informed insights into academic practice. It involves constructive criticism of your own practice or others. However, this submission should include the relevant literature and link to the theory of practice. It's shorter than other articles, and as the word limit is maximum of 2,000 words, excluding references. So there are 3 types of submission. I would like to encourage colleagues to submit to the journal, and when you do, please read the guidelines for submission, which gives the details about what to include in your submission, submission type, writing style, and ethical guidelines.
Wonderful, thanks, Gita. So there's obviously a lot of flexibility there in terms of the types of submission, the types of paper that colleagues can submit. I guess depending on the type of research that they're engaged with, and also, you know, the amount of time that they've got for writing. So talk us through what happens then once a colleague has submitted in terms of the review process. How long is the review taking, for example?
Yeah, each manuscript is assigned to either the editor or one of the associate editors. And we will manage the review process until the article is ready for publication. We have a double-blind peer review in place, and each submission is reviewed by 2 reviewers. It might go through more than 1 cycle review. We send the reviewer's comments to the author to revise the manuscript. We have excellent reviewers, and the review forms guide reviewers to give constructive feedback to authors to improve their work. So we're kind of very supportive journal. It's important that authors respond constructively to the reviewers' comments and submit the revised manuscript by feeding forward the feedback given to them. When the reviewers are happy that the submission is ready for publication, the designated editor or associate editor accepts the manuscript and sends it for copy editing and proofreading before it's published. So that's the process.
Brilliant. So that's a really clear process. I think a couple of people so far have talked about the support. So can we just expand that a little bit further? So does it really matter if colleagues do not already have any experience in publishing? You know, what sort of help and support is there for less experienced colleagues?
Yeah, so if I respond to that, in a sense, Gita, you've already covered some of that by showing that we are very flexible in terms of the format. So if someone hasn't published before, perhaps you might want to submit a case study or a reflective article, which is probably a little bit less involved and might be easier to produce. So it absolutely doesn't, you know, you might have published in your disciplinary research, and I think the spirit of the journal is, as Gita already said, that we're very supportive. So the reviewing process is very constructive. The idea is that, as Gita just said, the feedback you get on the papers will be developmental, so you know how to improve on it and can improve the next iteration of the paper. So it's absolutely, I think not necessarily that you have had to publish in 3-star journals before. And I think also in terms of other support available outside the peer review process is in terms of the academy. So there's a development series that might cover related topics that might be useful for potential and future authors. I think we can probably provide a link in after the podcast on the website. And we also run the 2 conferences, the Learning Teaching Conference and the Pedagogy Research Conference, which are great springboards to publication. I always myself as well do that when you have an idea and start researching something, you get it out at a conference, you get some peer feedback informally, and it's quite a nice way of doing that, getting your research out there, perhaps even getting collaborators, and then you work that feedback into publication and submitting to the journal. And also in terms of the academic development team is putting together or starting to facilitate a network of people interested in scholarship of learning and teaching. And because we are aiming this journal to be developmental, I think the growing body of reviewers, authors, and the people around the journal are creating that buzz that you do want to, you know, you see people, your colleagues have published, why don't I have a go? So coming back, Matt, to your question originally also to why publishing this paper in this journal, I think if people are passionate about teaching, if you're passionate about your teaching practice, then we don't think twice by, you know, doing our disciplinary research. But if people are passionate about your teaching practice, then it's really doing a bit of research and evaluation around your teaching practice is the natural way to go. And it's also great for fellowship accreditation, you know, doing or conducting your own pedagogic research.
Thanks, Tünde. It sounds like, I think Charles already mentioned about it being inclusive. What I'm hearing is it's an inclusive, supportive process, particularly for authors. That sounds fantastic. Are there any other opportunities? I'm thinking maybe for more experienced colleagues around maybe becoming involved as a reviewer?
Absolutely, again. So I think, again, I would advise that as well, because, you know, it's the same as in our teaching learning process. If you ask people and ask our students to do peer evaluation and peer review of other work, it's the best way to learn about that process. So becoming a peer reviewer in the journal is not an onerous process. I think we have a maximum of 4 papers per year that we would ask you to do. But by becoming a reviewer, you're becoming aware of how to write better, how people will read your paper. And I think it makes you, it certainly made me a better author by having had a review. And again, becoming a reviewer, we can support you with that, and it's great experience.
Brilliant. So it'd be remiss of me if I didn't ask, what is the process for those colleagues to become reviewers? Obviously, we will have a lot of University of Liverpool staff listening. So what do they need to do?
So the best way to become a reviewer at this moment in time is to email the Academy with your details. We're hoping that in the next couple of months is that we're going to introduce a new system, Scholar One, which is deemed to be one of the market leaders for journals and journal publications. And we're hoping that that system will provide a new environment for authors, reviewers, and all other members of the journal. So I would say at this moment in time, emailing the details to the Academy, expressing your interest is absolutely fine, but watch this space because there'll be new communications about how to enrol in Scholar One in the near future.
Brilliant. So a bit of investment there is happening around that process. That sounds really good. So just for colleagues listening, the Academy can be found at theacademy@liverpool.ac.uk. That's the email address to email us in at.
So I'd like to return to something you were just saying there, Tünde, about how there's a really nice kind of process set up now where we've got these two big conferences, the Pedagogic Research Conference and the Learning and Teaching Conference, where in a really kind of constructive, supportive environment, colleagues can go and present their research with a view to them bringing together a manuscript ready for submission. And if I reflect back over my career, I found those kind of opportunities really helpful to get a paper ready for submission. So what do colleagues then do once they've got that manuscript ready to submit?
Yeah, brilliant. If you've got a manuscript, I think Gita said that it would be looking at the guidelines for submission and then emailing the manuscript to the Academy email. And then what will happen is your paper will be allocated to a reviewer, an editor, an associate editor, who will then send it out for peer review, and then you will receive your peer feedback. So it is, I think we will go to a new system, but I'm sure the process will remain the same.
Further to that, if I may, there might be colleagues out there, and I really would just reiterate, this is for everybody, regardless of your role, your contract at Liverpool. You don't have to have published before. It might be an idea that you have. We're more than keen to hear your ideas. So if you haven't got a piece of research, you haven't got an article ready, it doesn't stop you emailing the Academy with even an embryonic idea. We can discuss that with you.
I think that's the same as well, didn't we say, Charles, that if someone wanted to, some specific support request or something, again, if you email us at the Academy, then we can get back to people. If people wanted to look for, I don't know, collaborators or a particular mentor, or wanted a bit more information that's on our guidelines for the different formats, then definitely that we would encourage that.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Wonderful. And what's the visibility of the journal at the moment? What's the likelihood that people will have their articles viewed by others once it is published?
I can answer a little bit of that. I think it's high because, as we've mentioned before, the journal is open access, but there's no author publishing charges, so nothing is holding you back from submitting. All your colleagues at the University of Liverpool and beyond will be able to view the paper, and there's no paywall. So we publish 40 journals, as I mentioned, and all your content, your paper will be on the same website as those other journals some of them have hundreds and hundreds of subscribers across the world internationally. So they will be able to view your paper because they will be able to search on the website. It will be alongside. And I did pull a few little numbers before I came. And we have had viewings in Manchester Metropolitan University, Cambridge, obviously there's a lot at Liverpool, but the University of Arizona and the University of the Philippines. So I think the chances are fairly high that you will be viewed. I should also say that obviously Liverpool University Press will be working to disseminate your content and promote the journal in all the same ways that we promote our other journals. So email campaigns to lists, newsletters, social medias, author tools, all of that will be happening for your paper as well as a paper in a highly established journal on our site.
Wonderful, thanks Claire. So it sounds like Liverpool University Press are doing a lot to disseminate those papers. And I guess, Charles, the Academy also is doing a lot to raise the profile of the journal.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Alex. So certainly we've mentioned the PEDRES, Pedagogic Research Conference, which usually takes place in January. The journal will feature there. It's a place where we celebrate and encourage future publications and opportunities to have discussions with the editorial advisory board, members of the editorial advisory board, certainly as well at the Learning and Teaching Conference. That's a, I think a fertile ground for us to celebrate the journal. So yeah, a number of ways, and we're hoping to create some further podcasts of colleagues who have published in the journal through the academic podcast series. So we really are, conscious of, doing exactly what we've said within the journal of sharing good practice across the institution and ultimately beyond for the future.
Charles, can I jump in here and just to say that we did a session at the Pedagogy Research Conference at the launch where we had authors to present their papers in 3 minutes, and that was a brilliant session because first of all, people in the audience could hear what the papers were about, and then we had lots of people making connections with each other. So I'm sure we could also make future events like that, because it was definitely that buzz of oh, you wrote about that, and it was a really nice format of people talking about their paper. And I would also say that we, in terms of authors, can also do more work on disseminating. So I think frequently when people tweet and disseminate things on social media, LinkedIn as well can be really powerful when people just put a little link to the paper that they have published. And because of the way social media works, that's also another way of, or if you let's say quote an author and really valued their work, then why not tweet at them? And I think that again that can create some really nice future links between people writing about the same, I don't know, teaching approach or something like that.
That is a really interesting point, Tünde. So we've had people on this podcast previously talk about the power of blogs, the power of LinkedIn, compared to paper authorship. So obviously, sometimes you get different audiences depending on where you put out your content. But when Charles was talking about having an embryonic idea and going to the academy with that idea, I guess then sometimes these ideas, they get posted on LinkedIn as a couple of words, a couple of lines. But what we're actually talking about here is being able to build on that with other people's expertise in terms of how to write that into a paper and then increasing the audience. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, I was thinking both. You can do both. So when you are developing your idea and getting people on board with it, or perhaps looking for collaborators, but or also when you have published, and let's say you've quoted an author whose work you've used and found useful, and I think it's quite nice, because I think people sometimes forget that publication is about joining a community. So, people might think, oh, it's, I'm submitting it, it's all written word, it's written down, it's paper. But really what you're doing is conversing with people in the same community. And I think what we're trying to do with developing academic practice is that whereas people naturally will be living within Liverpool University in their disciplinary communities and having conversations and corridors with, well, not at the moment, unfortunately, but what we're doing with developing academic practice is trying to bring those people out to be able to talk across the institution, because our joint language is teaching practice and pedagogic research, which is cross-disciplinary in a sense, or it's another language, it's another community. So we're trying to create that community through the journal, but really it's about enabling those conversations in whatever form they might take place. So there's no reason why you couldn't talk before, during, or after on social media and in other ways. So yeah.
So just on that then, just before I move on to maybe what we're going to have in the future, Claire, do you see posts on LinkedIn that pull from the journal already? Are you seeing that sort of activity?
We are working closely with people like Altmetric, who measure attention around articles. I haven't personally seen anything from LinkedIn, and I will be able to feedback shortly with more sort of usage statistics for the journal and more where people are reading it, how they're reading it, where they're getting it from. But not particularly from LinkedIn. I think Twitter for us is a really big one. We obviously have sort of a large Twitter following, and when articles are published, we try to promote them there. But we also very much encourage authors when they receive, their finished paper, to share that link, because the journal is open access. It's a great way to get viewing up.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And, harnessing social media to increase that visibility of things that have been published makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I would like to ask about visibility of the journal. You mentioned that our future plan is indexing the journal, which increases the visibility of the journal, being accessible to a wide audience, improves its reputation as a reliable source of high quality information for educators, because everyone, either they want to find information or they want to publish, they go to database research, and then when the journal index in a known database, it means we increase journals' readership, and we, as a result, we disseminate our authors' practice.
Yes, definitely, and that's something that we will be working with you to do. We obviously are working closely with Google, so all of our content should be indexed in Google Scholar, etc. But I think, to be honest, it's early days for this journal, and when we only launched in January, we've got sort of 5, 6, almost 7 months of content. I think we need to build a few more months of content, and then citations will start to rise. I think it would be great if we could start attracting submissions from outside Liverpool as well. That would all obviously build citations, because people would read it outside of Liverpool, and you want your audience to be as wide as possible. But definitely it is on our radar, and we are working with the indexing and citation databases to make that happen for you. We just need a bit more time, I think, at this stage, because we're such a baby journal.
So I hope our audience listening to this just get some ideas. So please, we are ready for you to submit your paper. And I think the other things we're planning in the future is special issues. So I think they're always a great way to focus on a particular topic and find different authors writing about the same issue. So that's definitely something that we will be working with in the future.
I'll just really reiterate what Tünde said there as well, and going back to the point I made earlier, that we are interested in ideas. We really want this to reflect the interests of staff across the university. So if you do have an idea, if there's a particular theme that you'd like us to consider, we could think about that for special issues. So yeah, we're really, just to reiterate, we're really open to ideas, and we really want it to come from Liverpool University staff.
Well, thanks, folks. That's been really interesting and really helpful for colleagues who may well be thinking about submitting to the journal. This podcast is called the Developing Practice Podcast, and we like to finish each recording with a couple of take-home tips that listeners can reflect on in terms of their own personal practice. So if you could give us something to think about and reflect on as a result of this podcast, what would it be? Claire, if we start with you.
I think just not to be nervous or afraid of the publishing process. I know it's a big deal. It's a big thing for researchers, but I think this journal is a really good place for you to find your feet and get some support.
Yeah, I think it's already covered by Tünde, but I would like to highlight it again, encouraging the staff to sign up as a reviewer. Whether you are an experienced author or not, there are several benefits of being a reviewer. Because critical thinking and identifying the strengths and weaknesses of others help to improve your writing. You get a reputation of someone who guides authors to publish. So please sign up with us as a reviewer.
Yeah, so I'm riffing on Gita's advice. Becoming a reviewer, it's you hit 2 birds with 1 stone for what I'm gonna say, because my advice is usually what I heard from Professor Paul Eshwin from Lancaster. He was saying that people want to do educational research. I think the best thing you can do is read, and before you start your research projects. And I think it will be, what's the saying? 1 stitch in time saves 9. That's what I like to say. So it really, if you do the reading before, you can do a much better design for your project, and it will be much, much easier to publish at the other end. So yeah, 1 stitch in time saves 9.
Perfect, thank you. And Charles.
Yes, thank you, Alex. I suppose really for many people, many colleagues, you know, in the busy lives that we have as academics and in professional services and a variety of roles that we have at Liverpool, it's taking that first step and having the confidence to take that first step, and that fear of publishing, but you know, sharing what we do, our ideas, our great ideas that we have, and everybody has great ideas. Everybody's involved in something that other people would like to hear about. So I just encourage you to have the confidence just to submit, even if it's an idea, to the Academy, or a piece of work that you think would be of interest to other colleagues, and we'd be really interested to hear about that. Okay, and as a final comment, really, as in my role as editor, and you know, thanks to, the trouble is saying thank you to people. I'm bound to miss somebody out that later I think, oh, I wish I'd have thanked them. So, but anyway, certainly thank you to James for the original idea, and Sue Bolt as head of academic development, who was very supportive early on, in terms of helping us think about deadlines and meeting deadlines and milestones, and supporting the appointment of associate editors and the wider editorial advisory board. That was, you know, it was a tremendous process that we were involved in. And thank you to the wonderful colleagues who support us on the editorial team, that's the associate editors, and the wider editorial advisory board. Of course, all the reviewers, and in particular, Liverpool University Press, who, you know, provide this great platform and great advice and help disseminate and share our work more widely. And I think all of the associate editors, we've seen the work that Luke does for us, Luke Simpson. So a particular thank you to Luke for all his hard work.